Welcome to Jurassic World. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was released in 2018 and at this time directed by G.A. Bayona. G.A. Bayona, who also directed the 2014 film The Impossible. This film also has the music once again by Michael Giacchino, apologies for pronouncing his name wrong, and this film also has Chris Pratt and Bryce returning from the first Jurassic World, along with newcomers Justice Smith, Daniella Pienda, Isabella, along with other newcomers such as James Cromwell, Geraldine Chaplin, Toby Jones, Levine, and Wong reprising his role as Dr. Henry Reeve from Jurassic World and Jurassic Park, and Jeff Goldblum reprising his role as Dr. Ian Malcolm, which the last time we saw him was The Lost World. So yeah, that was quite exciting to see him back in this film. So this film is a direct continuation from the first Jurassic World, and basically the events of Jurassic World have happened, and they shocked the world, they shocked people all over the world, they're all over the news. And basically on Isabella, where Jurassic World happened, where Jurassic World was built, there's a volcano erupting there, and basically all the authorities in America are deciding to whether let the dinosaurs live or to whether to let the dinosaurs die on Isabella. And ultimately the authorities go against letting the dinosaurs live, and ultimately they say they're going to let the dinosaurs die. And Claire, once again played by Bryce, is against that. She has his own Save the Dinosaur Committee, which obviously, want to save the dinosaurs. In this committee we also meet Zia, Franklin Webb, Zia played by Daniella Pienda, and Franklin Webb played by Justice Smith, and basically they're also in the Save the Dinosaur Committee. And then are happy with the decision that the authorities have made. However, Eli Mills, played by Rafe Spall, might be announcing the film, I'm going to apologize for that. Eli Mills gets in touch with Claire, and she goes to meet him at the Lockwood estate, which Eli Mills, he owns his Hughes estate, known as Lockwood estate. And basically they come up with this plan to save some of the dinosaurs on Isabella and take them to a much safe island. However, it is a fake plan. That fake plan involves Claire getting back in touch with Owen. Owen, once again played by Chris Pratt in the film. Owen and Claire have now split up. So they got together at the end of the first Jurassic World, but now they have split up. But anyway, after some convincing, basically Owen agrees to go back to Isabella. Basically, long story short, Claire, Owen, Franklin Webb and Zia all go to Isabella and meet the army there, which Eli Mills has already sent there. Long story short, once Isabella, Blue and Owen reunite, Blue the Velociraptor, which Owen basically trained, once they reunite and they do what they need to do, basically the army fucks them over and leaves them on the island to die. The army takes Zia with them, but they leave Franklin Webb, Claire and Owen all to die on this island. Long story short, Owen, Claire and Frank Webb only just managed to get off the island just in time, and they managed to get on the army boat. However, then they get back to the Lockwood estate, and Eli Mills' real plan is revealed. Basically, he wants to do this dinosaur auction, which, by the way, how awesome does that sound? He wants to do this dinosaur auction to basically sell all these dinosaurs for his own greed so he can get all this money. That's his plan. And basically, once we're back at Lockwood estate, we see, Eli Mills' evil plan to go into action, this whole dinosaur auction. And during the dinosaur auction, we get another genetically engineered dinosaur, which is revealed. So in the first Jurassic World, we had one genetically engineered dinosaur, which was the Indominus Rex, the genetically hybrid T-Rex. But here we get another genetically engineered dinosaur, which is the Indoraptor, which is a hybrid of the Velociraptor. But anyway, basically the Indoraptor is revealed in the dinosaur auction. And long story short, the Indoraptor gets loose in the Lockwood estate, as well as that Blue the Velociraptor gets loose in the Lockwood estate, and as well as that Maisie Lockwood, played by Isabella, it's also thrown into the mix in a very weird and unexpected way, and she's thrown into the mix. And at the same time, Claire and Owen are once again trying to run away from dinosaurs, and we're trying to protect Maisie Lockwood at all costs from the big evil Indoraptor. At the same time, Blue the Velociraptor comes into the mix as well in the scenes to do at Lockwood's estate. Anyway, all that stuff happens at Lockwood's estate with the Indoraptor running about and Blue the Velociraptor running about, but in the end, all the dinosaurs get let loose. And, as Malcolm says at the end of the film, welcome to Jurassic World. And basically that's the main plot of the film. There's some cool things I missed out there, which I'm going to talk about in my in-depth review, which I'm going to be talking about very, very shortly. But there's a couple of things I missed out there, but that's the main plot of the film. There's also a storyline following with Maisie Lockwood in there, Maisie Lockwood played by Isabella. There's a storyline following with her in there, which was unexpected and something I never expected to see in a Jurassic film. And that's the main plot of the film. I just want to take you guys back to 2018 when I went to go watch this film at the cinema. You think with these new Jurassic World films, it's not like the most recent Star Wars films. Like the most recent Star Wars films, we had Force Awakens 2015, Last Jedi 2017, Rise of Skywalker uniting. So we had a main Star Wars film every 2 years, and in between those years, we also had Star Wars spin-off movies. Rogue One in 2016, we had Solo in 2018, and we also had Mandalorian in 2019. So we had Star Wars content coming all the time in those past, 5 years. But the thing is, Jurassic World, when the sequel came out, when Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom came out, we hadn't had anything from Jurassic World since 2015 with the first Jurassic World film. We hadn't had any Jurassic sequels 3 years. So naturally, I was really excited to watch this film. Jurassic films don't come along that often. And basically, I remember sitting in the cinema, I remember being so excited. I heard Jeff Goldblum return as Ian Malcolm. I didn't know how much he was in. I was so excited to watch it. And I was sitting in the cinema, and then I remember when the credits rolled, and I loved it for the first time. I absolutely adored this film the first time I saw it. Unfortunately, though, over time, I've also watched this film a couple of times since, and I've since noticed quite a few problems in the film, especially last night when I watched it last night. But I don't hate it, and I don't dislike it as much as quite a lot of other people do. In fact, there's actually quite a lot of parts of this film that I think are absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately, there are also quite a lot of parts of this film which just, left me going, why? Like, the things in this film which like, what is that? And that is what I'm going to talk about in my in-depth review of this film. So anyway, let's start at the beginning. Let's start in the opening scene of the film. I absolutely love the opening scene of the film. This is my second favourite opening of the whole Jurassic franchise. This whole scene that takes place at night. It's got loads of horror elements in there. It's really well directed, the opening scene, and it's really dark. You get the T-Rex and you get the Mosasaurus. That whole Mosasaurus plotline was like, it was kind of brought up in the first Jurassic World. I didn't think I'd actually see a Mosasaurus again in this film, but then when I saw the Mosasaurus in this film, it was the exact same Mosasaurus from the first Jurassic World. I was like, oh my god, they're carrying that plotline over. That's so interesting, I didn't think I'd do that. I really liked that whole idea. Like I said, it's got a lot of horror lines in the first opening scene, and I love the opening scene in this film. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was actually fantastic. My second favourite opening of the whole Jurassic franchise, first obviously Jurassic Park, but this one is absolutely fantastic as well. And also, by the way, the Mosasaurus gets out into the wild ocean in the first scene of the film. Keep that in mind. One dinosaur is already out of Isanova. Then we jump to America, and these authorities are decided to whether to let the dinosaurs live in Isanova or whether to let the dinosaurs die by this volcano on Isanova. And here we see Dr. Ian Malcolm once again, played by Jeff Goldblum, which was so exciting. When I heard this in the film, I got so excited. Like, I was like, oh my god, Jeff Goldblum is returning to a Jurassic film. We hadn't seen him since The Lost World, which is God knows how many years before this. So I was so excited to watch him in this film. And he is barely in this film, which is rather disappointing, to be honest. He's in about a minute and a half at the beginning and about a minute and a half at the end. Not even that, really. Probably like 30 seconds. And it's just disappointing, to be honest. When you have Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm in a Jurassic film, you use him, and they didn't. He's barely in this film. He could have even showed up in the dinosaur auction later in the film, and I probably would have liked that more, but he's barely in this film. It's just disappointing. And so I do hope that Colin Trevorrow, who's going on to direct Jurassic World 3, also known as Jurassic World Dominion, I hope that, Colin Trevorrow uses Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum, who are all returning for that third sequel. I hope Colin Trevorrow uses them well in the next film, because honestly, Jeff Goldblum was not used well in this film. He was barely in it, and I was kind of disappointed. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, then if you can tell. I wanted to see more Jeff Goldblum in this film, and I didn't. But anyway, sticking on the whole Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm bit for a sec. He says one thing here. He says we should let the dinosaurs die on Isanova. And then we follow Claire and Owen for the rest of the film, who say another thing, that we should save the dinosaurs on Isanova. And here's the thing that confuses me with that. Every time we have met, Malcolm in a previous Jurassic Park film since, he's been represented as the angel. And yet here, he says one thing, but then we follow the character say another thing. I'm confused which characters are meant to agree with. Like, when we met Malcolm before in Jurassic Park and The Lost World, we are meant to agree with him. Like, in Jurassic Park, he's presented as the angel alongside John Hammond. John Hammond has, recreated dinosaurs from dead. He has played a god, and then Malcolm's like, he's so excited with whether he could, he didn't have to think whether he should. And so we follow Malcolm in the film, we agree with him. He's been the angel alongside John Hammond, he's been the devil. And that's the same with The Lost World. Ludlow in that film, he's been the devil. He wants to bring Jurassic Park to the people. And then Jeff Goldblum's like, no, keep the dinosaurs and Isanova, just keep them there. And basically, yet again, in The Lost World, we are aligned with Jeff Goldblum's ideology, aligned with his thoughts in that film, and he is once again presented as the angel, this time alongside Ludlow. And so when Jeff Goldblum says at the start of the film that, we should let the dinosaurs die in Isanova, I don't know who we're meant to be agreeing with. He says one thing, because then we follow Claire and Owen, who wants to save the dinosaurs, and it's just a bit like, whose ideology are we meant to be agreeing with here? Then we get the reintroduction to Claire, once again played by Bryce Dallas Howard in this film, and yet again, I think Bryce Dallas Howard's performance is great in the film. I think she's great in the film. And also, by the way, we're in the scene scene in this scene when we introduced to the Save the Dinosaur Committee, we are also introduced to Zia, played by Daniella Pienda, and Franklin Webb, played by Justice Smith. And I'm not going to talk about much about these characters. There's two 20-year-olds who are like dinosaur enthusiasts who want to help Claire save the dinosaurs on the Save the Dinosaur Committee, but I'm not going to talk much about their characters because honestly, they're really annoying in this film. Like Franklin Webb, in most of the scenes he's in, he's just screaming. And Zia, she's really cocky and really arrogant, and both Zia and Franklin Webb have a lot of comedy that falls really flat in this film. They try and give lots of comedy out in this film, and it just doesn't work. I don't really like their characters at all. I'm not going to really talk about much about their characters, even though they have main roles in the film. They're really annoying and not very interesting characters, I'm going to be honest. But anyway, then Eli Mills, played by Rafe Spall, might pronounce his name wrong, positive I am. He gets in touch with Claire and they arrange a meeting. Claire goes to the Lockwood estate. And by the way, the Lockwood estate looks about half CGI, half real. I don't understand why they couldn't get a real estate. It's a Jurassic film, they have huge budgets, and it just looks half real, half fake, and it's just like, oh, great. But anyway, Eli Mills and Claire, they have a meal, and Eli Mills, you know, tells Claire his fake plan. Get these dinosaurs, to get some of the dinosaurs for Eisenhuber onto a safer island. And also here, by the way, we introduced to Benjamin Lockwood, played by James Cromwell. Benjamin Lockwood, by the way, this is a little interesting fact. He has a maid in this film, and she's played by Geraldine Chaplin. And Geraldine Chaplin, by the way, is actually the granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin. There's a little bit of film trivia that you didn't know. But anyway, going back to the main plot of the film. Eli Mills' plan involves Claire getting back in touch with Owen, and who she is now broken up with. And Owen is once again played by Chris Pratt in the film. And if you watch my first Jurassic World review, Chris Pratt as Owen Grady is my favourite character in this new Jurassic World films, in these new Jurassic World films. I think he was fantastic in the first Jurassic World film. Something is very good here. It's not as good as he was in the first Jurassic World, but again, he's great in this film. And a lot of the comedy with his character works in this film. He's one of the characters that I did laugh at quite a lot in the film, because he had quite a lot of lines in this film that works quite well. And the thing is here though, Owen and Claire have now split up. So at the end of the first Jurassic World, Claire says something along the lines of, what should we do now? Then Owen was like, stick together. And then here, they haven't done that. They've broken up. And it's just a bit like why? It's almost like Paul and Amanda Kirby in Jurassic Park 3. Paul and Amanda Kirby in Jurassic Park 3 has split up, and by the end of the film, they get back together. I saw the way that storyline was going to go from a mile away in that film. And it's the same in this film. Claire and Owen is split up at the start of the film, and then by the end of the film, they get back together. I saw that storyline coming from a mile away. It's predictable, and why is it thrown in there? It's just a stupid, romantic subplot thrown in there in the film that doesn't really play much relevance to the whole grand scheme of things in this film. Let me go to this bar, and Claire is trying to convince Owen to come and help her on her mission to go to Eisenhuber and save some of the dinosaurs. Owen is not convinced, but then Claire brings up Blue the Velociraptor, which shortly after we find that Owen practically raised that Velociraptor when it was a baby Velociraptor. He's basically raised that Velociraptor from its early childhood, and it's quite something, because we get this scene after that whole convincing scene between Claire and Owen, where basically Owen is watching over old videos of himself when Jurassic World was being built. He's training these Velociraptors that we saw in the first Jurassic World. He's training them. He obviously has this affection for the Velociraptor called Blue. Although I'm not sure if we're meant to agree with their ideology here, that's quite a nice sweet scene. So I don't know if we're meant to be agreeing with their characters. We have shown the affection Owen has for this dinosaur. Owen has for these dinosaurs. He obviously has a strong affection for Blue, because he's got old videos of him, old videos of him training Blue when Blue was a baby Velociraptor. And it's quite a nice sweet scene, I'm not gonna lie. It also makes that first scene when we see Owen in the first Jurassic World with Velociraptors, it also makes that scene more significant, because now when you look back at that scene in Jurassic World, you realize, oh my god, he's actually raised those Velociraptors since they were baby Velociraptors. That's quite something. Anyway, long story short, Owen, he goes on the plane along with Claire, Zia, and Franklin Webb, all to Eisenhuber, and then they meet the army there, which Eli Mills' character has already sent there, and basically once again on the island, long story short, Owen and Blue reunite in a scene that is very similar to, like I said, the first scene between Owen and the Velociraptors in the first Jurassic World. And I quite like that scene. You can see the way that, Owen and Blue obviously have this strong connection between each character. Even so one's a dinosaur, even so Owen's human, they also start quite a connection. I quite like that scene. Then you got quite a predictable twist to do the army fucking over Owen, Claire, Franklin Webb, and Zia. And I didn't mind this twist. In fact, I was watching the trailer for the film, so I actually saw that coming. But I didn't mind that twist. I didn't mind that the film went there. I didn't mind it. It was just a bit predictable. Then you get this twist, and basically the army takes Zia away because the army accidentally shot Blue the Velociraptor, and basically they think Zia can actually make Blue better. They need Blue the Velociraptor. The army need Blue the Velociraptor. But they leave Owen behind, and they do the same with Claire and Franklin Webb on another part of the island. At the same time, the volcano on the Eisenhuber is starting to erupt. You do have some pretty entertaining scenes here. For example, there's this whole scene where the lava from the volcano is getting this close to Owen. Half his body is asleep because he got shot by a sleep dart, and so half his body is asleep, and he's trying to move his body so that he doesn't get touched by the lava, but he can't manage to move it. And it's actually pretty entertaining scene, I'm not gonna lie, it did make me laugh as well. The long story short, Owen, Claire, and Frank and Webb already reunite, and they're all running down this hill with all these other dinosaurs running behind them as the volcano and Isaac is starting to erupt. It's proper erupting out. It's going all out, all the lava's coming down the mountain. There's loads of dinosaurs running around, and there's a lot of CGI here. And a lot of people saying that, this film was like way too much CGI. But that never bothered me when I watched it in the cinema, or when I watched this film last night on the small screen. But honestly, the CGI in the film never really bothered me. Then they're all running down this hill, and there just happens to be a gyrosphere in the middle of this hill. There just happens to be one there. Oh, sorry, hamster ball. That's what it's meant to be called. It's a hamster ball. But they just happen to come into contact with the gyrosphere. Oh, sorry, hamster ball. Claire and Frank Webb get in the gyrosphere. Sorry, the hamster ball. Owen is about to get in there, but then a stegosaurus comes out of nowhere, and he's proper scared by the stegosaurus. And it's like, oh no, oh my god. And then the T-Rex comes in and just, eats stegosaurus, and you get, that was a pretty awesome T-Rex bomb, I'm not gonna lie. Then the hamster ball is rolling off the mountain, off the cliff, and into the wall next to Isaac. And somehow, Owen became a superhero here. He got caught up in an ash cloud, jumped off a really tall cliff into the water, and somehow managed not to get bruised, or not to get any cuts, or not to get hurt at all, and is completely fine. I mean, I know Chris Pratt was in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't know I had a second superhero role. Then you get this scene with the hamster ball in the water, and that, I'm not gonna lie, I quite like this scene. I remember watching the scene in the cinema. It was quite a cinematic scene, I'm not gonna lie. I remember watching it thinking, wow, this is the scene made for the cinema. Basically, Claire and Franklin were doing the hamster ball, and they can't get out, and they're drowning under the water, and Owen's trying to get them out, and that was actually a fantastic scene. I remember watching the cinema thinking, wow, this is a scene made for the cinema. It is really well directed, and I think quite a lot of it's all done in one take as well. Then Claire, Franklin Webb, and Owen only just managed to get it on to the army boat on the way back to Lockwood's estate, and in doing so, you get a bit of an intense scene where basically Claire, Owen, and Franklin Webb are trying to run to get onto this truck, and didn't manage to get on the truck, and then they're trying to get this truck onto the army boat before it is rolled up, and then that's all very entertaining sequences at the same time, and so it's got this roaring score from Michael Giacchino going in the background. Then you get this kind of sad scene where you see the Brachiosaurus just left on the island. The volcano on Isaac has fallen, taken over the island now, and this Brachiosaurus is just on this platform, and you just see it in the distance, and it's a bit of a sad scene because it's almost like you're saying goodbye to a part of that whole Jurassic Park world. Because the first dinosaur that we really got to see in this whole franchise properly is the Brachiosaurus, and now here that Brachiosaurus is the last dinosaur on the island, and he wants to get off the island, but he can't, and he's getting covered up in the ash smoke and everything, and it's a bit of a sad scene, and I can't quite like it, I'm not gonna lie. It's like you're saying goodbye to a part of Jurassic Park there. It invited me with a bit of an emotional punch, which I didn't expect, kind of a nice, sad scene that I thought worked really well. But anyway, on the boat on the way back to the Lockwood estate, you get this scene where basically Blue the Velociraptor, he's losing a lot of blood. He got shot by the army accidentally earlier on in the film, and basically now he's losing a lot of blood. Zia is trying to cure Blue the Velociraptor, he's trying to cure, but she needs to give the Velociraptor blood. Claire Owen just managed to give this Velociraptor blood so it doesn't die. Just in that little scene, you're showing the affection that these characters have for the dinosaurs. Whether we're meant to agree with them or not, I'm still not sure by this point in the film, but whether we're meant to agree with them or not, you are showing in the scene just the affection that these characters, Claire, Owen, Franklin, Webb, and Zia, do have for this Velociraptor. It's a dinosaur, but at the same time, it is a living thing, and that was, again, a really nice, sweet scene. And that part of the film works for me, the first half of the film, all the stuff that I knew, but that works for me. This is where the film starts to slip for me. When we get back to the Lockwood estate, that's when it starts to slip. We get this fantastic sequence in the film. All the dinosaurs, which the army is unloading all the dinosaurs into Lockwood's estate, and it gets a fantastic scene, and it's got this roaring score from Michael Giacchino once again. And basically, the army also captured Claire and Owen. Claire and Owen put in these prison cells under the ground, along with the dinosaurs, which the army previously captured on the island. And then, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic sequence the way it's all done. Then Eli Mills' real plan is revealed. Basically, he wants to do this dinosaur auction. By the way, how awesome does that sound? He wants to do this dinosaur auction to sell off these dinosaurs for his own greed, for his own money. He wants to get all the money from this dinosaur, and he wants all that money from himself. The dinosaur auction isn't a bad idea, in my opinion. I actually kind of like this idea, although it's got to be some interesting moments. 20 millions. I don't mind the whole dinosaur auction stuff in this film. It kind of plays some moments to the plot. I did kind of like it in the film. And also, dinosaur auction is led by Toby Jones as character. And by the way, if you don't know who Toby Jones is, he's a famous English actor. He's been in loads of things, but he also voiced Dobby the Elf in the Harry Potter films. There you go. Then we jump back to Claire and Owen, and we get a bit of an out of place scene here. Claire is like, do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur? We're talking about that now. There's a dinosaur auction going on, and you know, the Indoraptor is about to be revealed, and you're talking about the first time you saw a dinosaur here? It's just an out of place scene. Like, it's not even a bad idea for a scene, to be honest. If that scene took place earlier in the film, when Claire is trying to convince Owen to go to Isaac's to help with the plan, maybe that scene would have worked a lot better, but here, it doesn't work, and it almost feels like it comes out of nowhere. It's not a bad idea for a scene. There's no place in the whole grand scheme of things in this part of the film. There's whole dinosaur auction going on, but here we're going to get this really almost kind of sweet scene that doesn't really work, just thrown in there for the sake of being there. It's not really well paced and it's not really well put into the film, I must admit. But anyway, continue with Claire and Owen. You get this pretty awesome scene. Owen has come up with this plan to get out of this prison cell, which he's been put in on with all the other dinosaurs. In the prison cell next to his is this hammerhead dinosaur. I forgot what it's called, but it's so cool. You keep seeing in the Jurassic franchise, when it bashes his head into things, it breaks things. I forgot what it's called. It's such a cool dinosaur though. But anyway, Owen comes up with this plan to basically use the dinosaur to get out of this prison cell. And basically, that was a pretty entertaining scene. It's pretty funny as well. You can see the way that Owen, you know, commands dinosaurs, and I think he's yet again, I think Chris Pratt's performance is great in the film. But anyway, they manage to get out of this prison cell, and basically Claire and Owen run into Maisie Lockwood. Maisie Lockwood, played by Isabella in the film. Eli Mills is meant to be like the guard, he's meant to be the person taking care of Maisie Lockwood, and Maisie Lockwood is obsessed with dinosaurs. And by this point, Maisie Lockwood had learned Eli Mills' evil dinosaur auction plan. She's running around, you know, the Lockwood's estate trying to get away from everything that's going on. She wants it to Claire and Owen there, and basically, you know, Claire and Owen, they vow to do everything they can to protect Maisie Lockwood from now on in this film. And basically, they go up and they go and watch the dinosaur auction take place. Here, now we get the big reveal of the Indoraptor. And I love this scene when we get the big reveal on the Indoraptor. It's got a fantastic musical score going from Michael Giacchino in the background. Boom, 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 boom. That's going on in the background. That's absolutely fantastic. And honestly, the Indoraptor looks so real. Like, I don't know if it's CGI, I don't know if it's a model, I don't know if it's animatronics or whatever it is. I can't tell. It looks so real in the scene when we first see the Indoraptor fully. But I must admit, I'm not a fan of the Indoraptor in this film. It's honestly just like a whole filler idea. It's almost like the writer sat down and was like, we need to for the last, 40 minutes, hour of this film. What should we do? How about the Indoraptor? You know, we've had the Indominus Rex, which is a hybrid of the T-Rex. And now, how about the Indoraptor, a hybrid of, have you guessed it? The Velociraptor. It doesn't work. It's this whole filler, and it's just thrown in there just for the sake of, something to happen in the last 40 minutes to an hour of this film. And I'm going to talk about this again in a bit more detail shortly in this video, but it's just thrown in there to fill up the last 40 minutes to an hour of this film. It just doesn't work. But anyway, then you get Claire and Owen, and they vow to do whatever possible to stop that Indoraptor from getting out of Lockwood's estate. Owen, being Owen, he comes with this plan to basically fuck up things for this dinosaur auction, and he uses the hammerhead dinosaur, which I forgot the name of, but it's really, really cool. He uses the hammerhead dinosaur to basically mess with this auction. And by the way, I haven't talked about him yet, but Dr. Henry Wu is actually in these scenes of the dinosaur auction. Dr. Henry Wu, once again played by B.D. Wong in this film, he is back. But the thing is, I'm not really sure why. Like, don't get me wrong, I like seeing Dr. Henry Wu in these films. I like that he's in Jurassic World, and I like that he's in this film. But why is he in this film? Yes, I know, he's created the Indoraptor, but we didn't need to necessarily see it. To be honest, I don't really like B.D. Wong's performance in this film. Honestly, most of the time it's just shouting at the Eli Mills' character. I didn't really get the point of seeing Dr. Henry Wu in this film, other than, again, that whole nostalgia trip from, like, is that same idea from the first Jurassic World? Trying to bring back that feeling from the first Jurassic Park, including legacy characters like Dr. Henry Wu and, Ian Malcolm in this film. I don't really understand why they had Dr. Henry Wu in the film. We didn't need to have him there. Yeah, we could have just said in the scene, oh yeah, Dr. Henry Wu created the Indoraptor. We didn't actually need to see him. But anyway, going back to the whole dinosaur stuff, everything gets messed up, and basically, long story short, the Indoraptor gets loose in the Lockwood's estate. And for the rest of the film, basically, the Indoraptor is chasing around Claire, Owen and Maisie Lockwood around the whole Lockwood's estate, and there are a lot of sequences which are made really, really well between the Indoraptor, Claire, Owen and Maisie Lockwood, where the Indoraptor is about to kill them, but they manage to slip away and everything. And there's some sequences that are directed really, really well. But honestly, it just kind of became repetitive, and quite a lot of the parts in the final act of the film just didn't work. This whole Indoraptor, I just lost interest in it. And even so, we do get this absolutely fantastic moment at the end where the Indoraptor is about to kill Owen, and Blue the Velociraptor jumps in at the end and manages to save Owen and Claire. And it seemed very, very similar to the end of the first Jurassic World. Even so, you do get that scene in the film, which is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. Ultimately, the whole Indoraptor stuff in this film just feels filler. The thing is with the Indominus Rex in the first film, the whole idea with the Indominus Rex, it's a genetically engineered dinosaur, which is a hybrid of the T-Rex. And when we first saw that in Jurassic World, we hadn't seen anything like that in the Jurassic franchise up to that point. It just seems like they've copied that storyline from the first film, but honestly, in a very lacking way. The Indoraptor, What? Already had the Indominus Rex. Why did we have to have the Indoraptor? I can't see the Indoraptor becoming this big, important dinosaur in the whole grand scheme of things in this Jurassic World trilogy, in this Jurassic franchise as a whole. I can't see the Indoraptor being that important. And also, by the way, in the final act of the film, I haven't really talked about this. There's a whole song for him with Maisie, Lockwood, by the way. It's a genetically engineered human. I didn't really get it, to be honest. They didn't really explain it very well. And also, it's a plot line I never expected to see a Jurassic film. This whole song with Maisie Lockwood is just weird, and it's just thrown in there, and I didn't really get it. It's thrown in there, and it's like, what? And basically, in the last 5 minutes of the film, you get Malcolm returning once again, and he gives this speech. And basically, one of his lines in the final speech of the film is like, you know, humans and dinosaurs are going to have to coexist. And all the dinosaurs from the Lockwood estate have all been let out. And yes, I have missed a key scene there. Don't worry. I know, don't worry, I know. I'm going to talk about that again in a bit more detail very shortly. But for now, I'm just going to stick on the last 5 minutes because I actually love these last 5 minutes of the film. Ian Malcolm's speech in the last 5 minutes of the film is fantastic. It reminded me of John Hammond's speech at the end of The Lost World. And I actually loved the end of The Lost World. And I love the end of this film, you know, seeing the effect that, you know, dinosaurs being let out into the wild. Dinosaurs and humans are going to have to coexist. I love the last 5 minutes of this film. It's a fantastic setup, and I can't wait for the third Jurassic World now after this fantastic setup at the end of the film. And honestly, the last 5 minutes of the film I love. It's an amazing setup. But that's what it is. It's a setup. This whole film is just a setup for the third Jurassic World. And that's great, but we don't have the third Jurassic World yet. The second half of the film just mainly feels filler, like we're trying to fill the time in for some reason. And then, honestly, it just feels like one huge setup for the third Jurassic World film, which I didn't really need. We don't have a third Jurassic World film yet. We've only got the setup. But anyway, going back to the scene where all the dinosaurs get let out of the Lockwood estate. And I didn't actually mind this idea. I didn't like the way it was done, you know. Maisie Lockwood pushes a button and she goes, they're alive, like me. That isn't a good reason to let all these dinosaurs out. But the thing is, I didn't mind this idea. Because if you watch closely, the dinosaurs are actually getting released out into the wild throughout the film. In the opening of the scene of the film, the Mosasaurus gets out into the main part of the ocean. Then if you watch the scenes that take place in the dinosaur auction in the film, there are a couple of dinosaurs that are already auctioned off in that whole scene. So dinosaurs have already been released out through the large parts of this film. Now, in this scene, when all the dinosaurs get let out of the Lockwood estate, it's almost like the cherry on the ice on top of the cake. Dinosaurs have been released already in this film, and now more being released. It's already been happening, so I didn't actually get the idea. Like, a lot of people's like, oh my god, it's all Maisie Lockwood's fault that all of these dinosaurs got let out into the open. No, it's not. It was happening earlier on in the film. Although I don't like the way it was done, the execution of that scene was done very, very poorly, and it would have made a lot more sense if Eli Mills, after the dinosaur auction plan went to shit, and basically he went up and pressed Wong because he was so mad at everyone. It was like everyone else deal with the dinosaurs. That would have made a lot more sense. Even so, the scene's bad. I didn't actually mind the idea because it was already happening. But anyway, all in all, there are parts of this film that I think are really, really good. But there are also parts of this film that I think are really, really bad. And the parts of this film that I think are really, really bad are starting to weigh me down. That's the thing. That this whole stuff of the Indoraptor is such a huge part of the film. But it's just a filler part of the film as well. Like, the writers sat down and just like, we need something to fill the last half an hour to 40 minutes in the film. You know, we had the Indominus Rex. How about we have the Indoraptor? Bill lost half an hour to 4 minutes in this film, and I'm not sure why they had to put it in there. Honestly, they could have cut this film down half an hour, and it would have been the exact same film, really. But instead, they just throw this stuff in there and to add some more action sequences in the film, which I didn't need, and just left me uninterested in what was going on. I really wasn't interested in all this stuff going on in the Indoraptor, and it just became boring, to be honest, which I never expected to say in a Jurassic film review. Like, even Jurassic Park 3, I never called that film boring. The whole stuff with the Indoraptor in the film just, to be honest, bored me. It's well shot. G.A. Boyne did an absolutely superb job shooting this film. I think the film is made really, really well. But unfortunately, the plot's just not there. The ideas just don't work for the most part. The whole stuff going back to Isabella and getting all the dinosaurs off Isabella, I think that was needed. I wasn't even bothered about the whole dinosaur auction stuff. That was interesting to a degree. But the thing is, all the Indoraptor stuff, and all the stuff with Maisie Lockwood, and all the stuff with these new characters just isn't that interesting. Zia and Franklin Webb are so annoying, and they have a lot of comedy with their characters but just falls flat. That just doesn't work. Honestly, just this film just feels like one big huge setup. That's what it feels like. Even so much that Cornel, who actually was a co-writer in this film, who actually said after this film came out, the third Jurassic World film is a film he's always wanted to do. The third Jurassic World film has always been his dream. He's always wanted to do that film. and he always knew it was going to take 2 films to get there. That's great. I can't wait for Jurassic World 3 now. I can't wait to see this big payoff that Cromwell is describing it as. But unfortunately for now, we've only got the 2 films leading up to it. The 2 would basically call them filler films. We don't have the big payoff yet, and ultimately it's just, that's what makes this film for me feel so anticlimactic and underwhelmed. It's just like one big filler film that honestly doesn't really do much. I'm really excited to watch the film. And honestly, I think I loved it the first time because I wanted to love it. Watching it now, it's a disappointment. I hate to say that as well, because I love the Jurassic franchise. I don't know if you can tell, but I do. And every time a new film comes out, I get really excited. And now, looking back on this film, it could have been so much better. But one thing I must talk about, because it is a Jurassic film review, and I almost forgot to talk about it, but I didn't, is the fantastic musical score from Michael Giacchino in this film. Michael Giacchino's score for the film is fantastic in my opinion. Honestly, he composed some absolutely amazing themes in the film. Lots of moments in the film where the musical score in the background is roaring. The musical score for the film is absolutely fantastic. Michael Giacchino did a superb job scoring this film. Anyway, one thing I almost forgot to mention is the lead 2 performances from Chris Pratt and Bryce Howard. I think they're both brilliant in this film, but unfortunately their characters just are not as interesting as they were in the first Jurassic World as well. There's not really a character arc to their characters in the film. You know, at the start of the film they want to save the dinosaurs, then at the end of the film they don't. Is that their character arc? All in all, I think the film's made well. It's got very good CGI. I think J. Bonnier did an absolutely superb job directing this film. It's got a fantastic musical score, and it's got a lot of fantastically shot sequences. But unfortunately, the story wasn't there. It just feels like one huge step for the third Jurassic World film, which we don't have yet. It's got characters that I don't find interesting, and ultimately, this whole storyline with the Indoraptor, which is just rubbish, to be honest. All in all, it's a Jurassic film in the end, but it is a bit of a disappointing one. And for that reason, I'm going to say that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is a 6.5 out of 10. I honestly want to be sitting here and saying, you know, this is the best film in the Jurassic franchise yet. This is a huge step up from Jurassic World. I can't believe how good this film was. But unfortunately, after a 3-year wait from the first Jurassic World, I couldn't help but just feel underwhelmed, even after I saw this film for the first time. I loved it, but watching it after, I was a bit speechless watching the credits come up. Like, is that the film? Like, it's got an amazing setup for the third film. I can't wait for the third film. I loved the last 5 minutes of the film, but everything else feels filler and like one huge set that I just didn't really need. All in all, it's made well, but the story and the plot and lots of plot points in the film just didn't work for me. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is a 6.5 out of 10 for me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? Please do comment below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this film. Please do let me know, because I would love to hear what you think of the film, because I know some people love it, some people hate it, and some people just feel in the middle like I do. Please do comment below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And just say once again, I'm still watching and reviewing the Jurassic films right now, so look forward to my next Jurassic film review. Oh no, wait, this was the latest Jurassic World film. This is the latest Jurassic film to be released, so there won't be any new Jurassic film reviews coming for a while now, because there's not a new Jurassic film coming out till, well, next year, with Jurassic World Dominion or Jurassic World 3, whichever you want to refer to as. I cannot wait for that film. Even though I do have my problems with this film, I honestly cannot wait for this film. I honestly cannot wait for the third Jurassic World film, or the 6th Jurassic Park film, whichever way you want to refer to it as. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of the franchise, and I knew that if I was going to do these Jurassic Park reviews, I knew that if I was going to do these films, I'd have to do them in in-depth reviews. So thank you so much for watching, because honestly, it takes forever to film these reviews, and it takes even longer to edit. So thank you so much for watching. Even if you just watch one of them, even if you just watch this one, or even if you just if you've watched all of them, thank you so much. Honestly, it means the world to me, and I can guarantee I'll be the first in line to watch Jurassic World Dominion or Jurassic World 3, whichever one is first to us. And honestly, I cannot wait for that film, and I will do some more videos on that film, you know, when we get a trailer for that film, and so on and so on and so on, leading up to that film, talk about my anticipation of that film. But for now, this is my last Jurassic Park video that I'll be doing for a while, and I hope you've enjoyed, I hope you've enjoyed my Jurassic Park reviews, because honestly, I've enjoyed making them, and I make it for you guys, and they're taking forever to make, but honestly, it's worth it in the end, because I love hearing what people think about these films, and I love giving my thoughts on these films. So thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more videos coming very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!